Thought I'd show these carburetors. These are for the blower motor that I tried to dyno. Finally got those in from Braswell Carburation. And like I've always said, it's really the only carburetor that I'll use if the customer's willing to purchase them. Here's the boost reference tubes for the power valves. This is the other side of the same carburetor. They're a matched, what I would consider a matched pair. He marks the jets on them. We got air bleeds to change if we need to. So that's for the big block. I can get it back to the dyno, and I got to get these on the manifold, get them synced in where the throttle's working evenly, and rig up the boost reference lines on it, and I will be able to get it back on the dyno and get it dynoed for the customer. Also, an update on the 440 6-pack motor. Got it on the dyno, getting everything hooked up on it. I've been behind on several things. I actually use a small block bell housing, and I built an adapter plate to make it work with a small block bell housing. It just worked out easier for me, but it's an original 6-pack car and motor. He's went back and put the AFR heads on it, and we're going to dyno it, original carburetors, and that's a project. I'm going to get some dyno footage on it and probably post it sometime here in the next week or so. The reason I haven't been posting anything is that header that I posted earlier. I've been working on that project, and we finally got it on the dyno and running and made some dyno pulls on it. I'll post a little short clip of what it sounds like when we dynoed it, but the customer has given me the permission to post the whole video of doing that motor and dynoing it, and we've still got some stuff going with it that we're going to test on it before I can put anything out there. So that's where we're at with it. Let me get to the whiteboard and we'll talk about quench area and combustion chambers. Okay, let's get into some more about the quench area and combustion chambers. This is probably going to upset a few people, but I've been kind of debating on how to do it. So hopefully this works out, and it is what it is. It's my opinion. It's what I have experienced in doing a lot of this over the period of time that I've been building motors. So I'm just going off of that and the motors that I have dealt with. So let's get into that. Let me get y'all up here so you can see the whiteboard, and we'll kind of go into it. Move you up here a little bit closer and get the camera where you can see. Okay, here's a couple of, we have a conventional style Hemi head. Really, no matter who it comes from, whether it's Brad Anderson, Noonan, whoever makes a Hemi head, they have pretty much the same combustion chamber. There's some differences in the shape of the combustion chamber a little bit, but not. You have an intake valve on one side, exhaust valve on the opposite side, and spark plug right in the middle. Motor basically has zero quench. That's what most all of the blower cars and pro mods, the top fuel cars, top alcohol cars, all these guys, everybody's running pretty much the same basic head. There's a lot of changes. There's a lot of different other changes that go on with it, but that's basically a Hemi head. And they do not have a quench. They do not have to deal with the quench. So, the tune-up, they'll run a dome piston in it to get the compression they want. So, that's kind of something that everybody tries to take a standard conventional, what I call conventional head. Let's get over here to this other one. Okay. My drawing is probably not the best in the world. Let me kind of do something here. Okay. This area, this is a combustion chamber. You've got intake exhaust valve somewhere in this area and a spark plug over here. That's pretty much what everybody comes up with as far as like a conventional head, what I call a conventional head, inline valve head, a little bit of a canted valve. That's kind of what they do. A lot of them will go back and take that conventional style head, depending on how the combustion chamber's done. They'll come back in, and where normally you have this quench area right here, they'll come in. Let me erase this here, and they will do. And here's your piston right here. This is the piston. My drawing it really sucks, but I'm not here to win any thing for drawing. I'm kind of hoping that this works out for people to kind of understand. Well, they come in and they take this area that was right here and they what they call soften the chamber. They radius it all off over to the side and do away with all of the quench and try to mimic a Hemi head where there's no quench, which I have never seen what I could say is a benefit of doing that. They say it helps prevent detonation, it slows the burn down, gives the flame a chance to go over here. In the time that the piston is moving at RPM, we're talking milliseconds of burn time. In my mind, I don't see where this really helps the situation. Because it's doing the same thing. The piston's coming up, it's pushing the fuel and air over to the combustion chamber area. With this bigger area, it's having to push more air and more fuel over to that area, which could create an issue in my opinion, and it leaves a lot of air and fuel over here. And, when the piston starts down, it's still drawing, the vacuum. And I think, in my opinion, on this side of the quench area, when you open it up like this, the vacuum is less because there's more area for the piston to have to try to suck on. So that's kind of my thought on that as far as softening the chambers. I see a lot of people do it. There's a lot of things that I think are wrong with what they are thinking of. I just got 15-degree head here. I mean, it could be a 23-degree. It can be a 8, 9, or 10-degree head. Whatever people are building right at the time. That's kind of, my theory. Let me go back here and erase this stuff. And I'm going to draw some other stuff on the board here. And this maybe get to the point of where it's going to upset a few people as far as my opinion and what I think happens in some motors that I have done that I know for a fact that were detonating with a softened chamber no matter what we did to them. So let me turn the camera off here, get this wiped off, draw a few more illustrations so y'all understand, and we'll get into that. Okay, I've got some more pictures drawn here. I hope everybody understands I'm not slamming anybody on anything else, their opinions, what they do or anything. I'm just going off the facts that I have had happen to me over, the time I've been building engines. We're going to use a 9-degree head for an example. The valve looks kind of funny, but I kind of wanted to illustrate, the valve's over here. It has a softened combustion chamber on it, and you have all this open quench area. And theoretically, the thinking of people is, when the plug's over here, it fires. It gives it plenty of time and area to burn over here. That all sounds well and good. Whether it works or not, I have quizzed several people that I know about softening combustion chambers, and you get such a wide variation of opinions. I'm just going off of what I have seen in the past. Okay, let's go over here where the spark plug is on this 9-degree head that I'm using as an example. This head, when it came from the manufacturer, you can see this is a spark plug right here. This is where the spark plug was, the side electrode. This is the combustion chamber here. The side electrode was plumb back in the plug hole. None of it was protruded. This is where typically you'll see a plug is out here. Hope you all can see that all right. It's typically the side electrode, center electrode is sticking into the combustion chamber. And it's got a softened chamber. The manufacturer said that was to slow the burn down. If you need to slow the burn down in the combustion chamber, you change the fuel you're running. You do something different with it. You don't change, you don't change it this way for dang sure. Anyway, let's go on. The piston comes up like I explained in the last video. It pushes air and fuel over here. And with this area open, there's just such an area that the fuel, you have so much air and fuel in it that it's going to take a lot longer to burn the volume of fuel. It all happens in milliseconds, and you've got to get all of this burnt at a certain point. I'm not positive how far down, but you've got to get it burnt so far down or the motor just doesn't make any power. So the larger the combustion chamber, the sooner you have to start the spark to burn that fuel in that length of time. Say you, on a 9-degree head, the stuff that I had matched with that was naturally aspirated, you'd run 18 to probably 17 to 20 degrees of timing in a 9-degree head. And that's all you had to run. I mean, it would burn without a softened chamber. It would burn and make the best power there. When you start opening the chamber up, you have a larger volume of fuel you have to burn. Simple math tells you to burn that fuel is going to take longer. We're dealing in milliseconds here. So you have to start to burn earlier. You take a 9-degree head that is supposed to really be an efficient head, and you're changing it into a situation where you're having to run 30, 32 degrees of timing to make it burn the fuel and make any power. That is going to create a detonation issue regardless of what you do to the chamber because of the characteristics of a 9-degree head. As far as when I say characteristics, the flat valve angle, this combustion chamber. On this particular motor, we never heard a piston as far as burning it or showing really any signs of detonation. What happened on this motor? Numerous times. It beat the pin bore out of the rod, which it was an aluminum rod. It beat the pin bore out of it and beat the pin bore out of the pistons. Numerous times, probably 4 to 5 sets of rods and probably 3 sets of pistons. It wouldn't do them all ever pass. and it didn't do any particular one at any point in time. It varied throughout the motor. We had the tune-up from one end to the other. Can't blame the tuner for the issues. He was doing his best. He didn't understand it, what was going on. He was very frustrated with the situation. That's the first thing everybody goes back and blames the tuner. And, you really should. You got to look at the whole picture on it. The spark plugs, this is my crude drawing of a spark plug. Typically, you'll see, in this radius here, you'll see, right in this here where it turns up, starts up, somewhere in this area here, you're going to have a coloration of your burn. And that's how I've always tuned motors. And then you'll have your timing line on your strap. And that's pretty much how I tune a motor and EGTs. I usually gas, methanol, whatever, 1050 to 1150 is where I try to keep the EGTs. These spark plugs, you would pull them out, and this, instead of being here, it could be all the way up here. So, okay, that cylinder's rich. We'd take fuel out of it. We'd make another pass. Pull that plug out and look at it again, the burn line would be down here. It was all over the place. When you made a change, there was no consistency to what was going on with this setup. So, the other thing that, and I haven't tested it, I'm just going off of thoughts and what I've seen. I'll soften chambers. Customer wants the chambers softened, I'll soften them. I'm not saying that's not the right thing to do, but here's the other question is, you take a motor that was, say, 11 to 1, before you soften the chambers. You soften the chambers, it goes to 10.5 to 1. And the tune-up works a lot better. Is it because you lowered the compression half a point, or is it because of the chamber? The only true way to know would be put that motor back at 11 to 1 and see if the tune-up did the same thing before you soften the chambers. I have not done that. That is something that, would be pretty interesting to do, but it would be an expensive venture to get into that. So, back to the way this head was done, with that plug back up in there like that, you're dealing with milliseconds to burn all of this. And with it back up in there, there is no way that flame is going to have the time to burn properly what was going on. I think in that situation, that is something that you need to pay attention to, is the spark plug, how it fits the combustion chamber. Until I run across this deal, I never really paid that close of attention to a spark plug. Every head that comes in my shop now, I screw a spark plug in it, and I look at this and see what's going on with it and see where it is. I have had some that have come in that the plug is part way back up in there, and I'll go in and do a little massaging around the plug and get the plug out here, so the electrode and the side electrode is out in the chamber so it can do its job. That's kind of some of my thoughts. There's nothing wrong with a 9-degree head. I think where a lot of this has come into play back probably in the early 90s, Robert Yates did a lot of modifications to a Cleveland head and started flattening the valve angle out and reshaping the combustion chamber, and it was very efficient, made a lot of power, and I think a lot of people have followed that scenario. This head in particular, it flowed a lot of air, which that's what everybody looks at. My thought, a flat valve angle, softening the chamber on the cylinder head, I don't necessarily think that's probably the best move, but That's my opinion. People do it. People have motors that run good that are done that way, but that's just my thought. I'm just going off of my experience with this one scenario. I hope it doesn't piss a lot of people off, and if it does, I'm sorry, but it's just my opinion. Suggestion, your thoughts on the video. We can talk, I can do another video and talk more about it. If you have some comments or thoughts, we can kind of go into that. And I'm going to post here at the end that 5-tube header. That's why I haven't been posting. I've been so busy with it, trying to get it to the dyno and get some dyno pulls on it. I will post a little short video of what it sounds like. That's all that the customer is, get you turned around here. That's all that the customer is wanting me to post right at the moment. So that's what I've got to kind of do. Once we get through the whole build and get all the things finalized, I'll be able to start posting some videos. There'll probably be 2 or 3 videos on it, and it's going to be pretty interesting stuff. So I'll post the sound of what it sounds like, and hope everybody enjoyed it. And like, subscribe, leave your comment, and we'll catch you on the next video. I appreciate it.